So this topic is fraction division. So we have 8/7 divided by 5/2. And for this first problem, I'm going to show you how fraction division works. So we're going to make 8/7 divided by 5/2 be an actual big fraction, because really fractions are just division problems. So this problem right here now shows you that we have 8/7, and then this line right here is our division line divided by 5/2. It's like this is the numerator and this is the denominator of the fraction. Now, before I do anything else, I want you to consider this word right here. It is reciprocal. And the reciprocal means that if I take a fraction and if I multiply this fraction by flipping the numerator and the denominator, we will always get an answer of 1/2. So the reciprocal of a fraction, or reciprocal of any number, is the number that you can multiply that number by to get an answer of 1. And you can do that with any fraction. If we flip the fraction, we multiply it by its reciprocal, we will always get an answer of 1/2. Now, we need that information in order to prove why division of fractions works the way it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this gigantic complex fraction right here that I have, and I'm going to multiply it by the reciprocal of its denominator. Now remember that this is actually the denominator of my weird looking fraction here. So I'm going to multiply the entire fraction by the reciprocal of the denominator. The reciprocal of the denominator is going to be 2/5. But I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator of my big fraction by the reciprocal of the denominator, so by 2/5. Notice that this right here, it looks really weird, but the numerator is 2/5 and the denominator is 2/5. So this really weird looking fraction that I'm multiplying this by is really 1/2. So now for the denominator, we have 5 times 2. And we have 2 times 5, which is really just 10 over 10, which we know is 1/2. So I know that the denominator of this entire fraction right here now, this entire fraction, when I multiply 5/2 times 2/5, I get 1/2. So that's now the denominator of my big fraction. And the numerator of my fraction is going to be 8/7 times 2 over 5. I don't really even care about the denominator now because it's just 1/2. I'm dividing the whole thing by 1. So I can say that this whole problem right here simplifies down to 8/7 times 2/5. So if we go back to our original problem, we can now say that when we are dividing a fraction, we are taking the first fraction 8/7, and we are really doing the same thing as multiplying it by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Notice that that is exactly the same as we have right down here. So this is exactly the same thing. Now to solve this, we have 8 times 2, we have 7 times 5, and we look for ways to simplify. In this case, we can't, so we have 16 over 35, and this right here is our simplest form. So the answer to our division problem is 16 over 35. Let's look at another example. We have 5/6 divided by 7/10. If I were to work this out the long way, I would go like this. 5/6 divided by 7/10. I'd multiply the entire fraction by the reciprocal of the denominator. So what I really have here is 1/2. The denominator I know is going to be 1 because it's 7/10 times its reciprocal. The numerator is 5/6 times 10 over 7. So I know I'm really doing 5/6 times the reciprocal of the second fraction, 10/7. That gives me 50 over 42. I can simplify this now. 50 over 42 both share a common factor of 2. 25 over 21. And I can now, I'm going to move this down here, I can now change this back to a mixed number. 21 goes into 25 one time. 4 leftovers. So I'm going to have 1 and 4 over 21. And one more problem, 5/3 divided by 3/2. Well, I know that this is really going to be 5/3 times the reciprocal. So when I do that, I have 10 over 9. Change it back to a mixed number. 10 divided by 9 is 1 and 1 leftover. So we're going to have 1 and 1/9.